So Anthony Sertorio, you're the engineering manager at Multiplex, is that right?
At the Multiplex Engineering Innovations Group. So we do a lot of work with value engineering, looking at some of their tenders and trying to introduce innovations or anything that can add a bit of value to the project from our science and engineering backgrounds.
And as we see on your shirt, you're also partnering with Monash University to do a code book for modular construction.
That's right. So the codes now, actually everyone who was at the conference has been given a copy of that so that they can start looking through and using that in their modular designs. And basically that's the point of it, is that they do have some guidance on modular construction. There's a lot of elements which maybe there's a bit of clarity that's needed to be given on how they need to be designed, what elements of modular that are different to regular buildings. And so we've collated a lot of that information into one place with the handbook, and it's got scope for revision, scope for feedback from people who do start using it, so we can continue to improve it.
Mm-hmm. And modular construction, if we just take a step back, tell me why this is such a promising or, has such potential to revolutionize building.
Well, there's a lot of aspects to the benefits of modular. So first of all, you're taking a lot of that work off-site. So the controlled condition that you're able to do the work in, you're taking a lot of the risk and safety aspects of it can be a lot better in an off-site position. Also, you're generally having less waste, your material and transport costs are lower. And then once you get to site, your erection time, your actual time for putting together that building on site is much quicker. Mm-hmm. So a lot of processes can take place at once. It's not a new concept going for modular, but right. Doing that in a way which is more standardised or more, like I say, there's more guidance over how, what things need to be considered is important.
As you said, it's been around for a while as a concept. Where is it most being adopted, and why are the places that are not adopting modular construction generally not doing so?
Well, what we see a lot of for modular construction is basically where there's a need for it, where there's a motivation for that speed of construction, maybe where it's hard to get resources, say in remote locations, modular construction is quite popular. But what you don't see is in those more, I guess, central areas where it's more about an architectural experience of the building, where there needs to be a statement. But at the same time, if you approach modular in the right way, if you have that mind frame of not just thinking of as a box-like structure, if you think about how you can make those modules into different forms, how they can form the building, there's definitely opportunity there for architects to also explore.
But I know that not everyone's so into the idea. I mean, I think some union trade groups are not excited about the fact that you're going to have a lot shorter construction time. I think some people are probably concerned that, you're going to have a homogeneous structures, right, by design. What do you think of some of the concerns? Do you have any concerns?
Well, I'd say, okay, so there's 2 points there. So then in terms of the workers, like I say, if they're doing work off-site in a more controlled condition, that's a safer condition for them. And the work is still getting done, just as I say, in a safer environment. So that's, if anything, a benefit to the workers in the first instance. And then there is a bit of a negative connotation about modular construction being quite uniform, quite unimaginative. But modular can take a lot of different forms. For instance, with the New Perth Stadium, we had the roof trusses there as a modular section, and that's not at all box-like. And if you look at the final structure, it's not at all like a uniform or quite regular thing that you'd see every day. So a lot of innovation went into that, but at the same time, we were actually harnessing some of those modular concepts. So I don't see it as being a negative. It's a opportunity to explore new ways of building.
Is there any limit to the type of building or the height of the building that can be built with modular construction?
Well, I think there's limits to the height of any building, and modular construction brings new challenges that need to be looked at. But at the same time, that's basically just something that needs to be considered and worked through. And there's a lot of hard work to get modular to the point that it is at the moment. And there's a lot of thinking, a lot of smart minds that are going to have to come together to keep innovating with it.
If you take modular construction, to a logical endpoint, or sort of try to picture the future, if we all embrace modular construction and sort of work out some of these technical challenges that we've been discussing, what do you see the world looking like with modular construction being widespread?
I guess a lot more flexibility in how we build and how those buildings how we think of them. So they may be more deconstructible, relocatable. You may have more sharing of spaces, as in communal modules. It's very difficult to see past, say, 10, 20 years and see what technologies are going to be in place in the construction industry then. But I'm sure that modular will play a big part in that.
And what's the main challenge, you think, in getting there?
As I say, I think the negative connotations around modular, which starts off with the end user experience, so making sure that when people do go into a modular building, they basically don't know that it is even modular, that they don't realise it's being constructed in that way unless it's being featured and they can kind of appreciate how it was constructed. And that flows through to clients and flows through to the construction companies who are eventually making these buildings.
Mm-hmm.